Welcome to another Blackboard Building Blocks for Newbies, NewbieCasts. This episode is Developing a Building Block from the Ground Up Part 2, Getting Started. In this episode, first, we'll look at what it takes to develop a building block in terms of the software that you'll need and where you can get it, and maybe some videos that you can follow along the way to help you get started. We'll also take a look at some other things I've done to help me be successful in terms of setting up my web browser to diagnose problems with building blocks. You always have to anticipate that you're going to have issues and be prepared for it. And the last thing is we'll download the V2 Starter Kit, which is itself a building block that you can use as a foundation for building your own building block. So we'll download that, install it into Eclipse, and get ourselves started. Okay, let's get into it. First things first, my development environment is Windows Server 2008 Standard. I have SQL Server installed, SQL Server 2008. These are all prerequisites of the Blackboard Learn platform. Blackboard Learn is also installed on here, as well as the latest version of Eclipse. All the information I use to set up my environment can be found on EduGarage. So if you go to edugarage.com and then go to tutorials, there's a section called Starting Out and Setting Up. I encourage you to go through this. This will help you get your development environment warmed up and ready to use for building your own building blocks. Rather than make my own screencast, I might as well point you to where the experts have already done a great job explaining how to get started. The next thing I like to do is use the Firefox web browser for my development. When I'm running Blackboard Learn, connecting to my building block, I like to use Firefox because there's two add-ons that make it really easy to troubleshoot the HTML output and the CSS and JavaScript, as well as figure out if you're missing files, etc. These two add-ons for Firefox that I use are Firebug and the Web Developer Add-on Toolbar. Both of these can be found in the Add-ons menu in Firefox. If you go to Tools and go to Add-ons and go to Get Add-ons, you can search for these add-ons. I have them installed. When you install them, you can bring up Firebug by hitting F12. That opens up the Firebug window, and what's neat about Firebug is you can click on this inspector element and hover over something, and it will show you where that is in the markup, where that particular element is in the markup. It also gives you information on style. You can also fire up this Net tab. When you reload a page, it will show you all the requests that are made. This is a great way to see if your generated Java server pages is pulling down a 404. You can take a look at the requests that are coming back, make sure they're all coming back as 200. The other add-on I like to use is called the Web Developer Toolbar. This is really handy for manipulating the browser behavior. So the way you turn this on is you go to View, Toolbars, Web Developer Toolbar, and it brings up this additional layer here. One of the more popular things I like to use is to turn the caching feature off of the browser. This helps you kind of make sure you're always getting fresh content while you're developing. Usually avoids the common issues that you see when things are caching and you're not getting fresh copies of things. There's also other things you can do here with forms and turning images on and off, helping you find broken images, which is a common problem, or helping you find problems with CSS, and you can disable the CSS on the pages to kind of simplify things. So it's a very useful toolbar to have, and again, it manipulates things in the browser, so it's a client-side tool that you can use to help you figure out issues in your Java server pages. Next, I'm going to fire up Eclipse. Eclipse is your developer environment for creating building blocks. You'll see that I have my projects over here under Package Explorer. I'm going to add an existing project to this Package Explorer list, but I first have to go get it. The package I'm going to get is called the V2 Starter Kit. You can find this project on ocelot.org, projects.ocelot.org, gf/project/b2sk. You can also search for the project on Ocelot. If you just search for B2SK, you'll find it. What I'm going to download here is the source code of this project. This project is a building block that demonstrates all the different ways that you can use or build a building block. Where this becomes useful is you can take the source code and use it as a starting point for your own building block. So I'm going to take this source code, I'm going to save it on my computer. I'm going to open the folder up. I'm going to unzip it. There's my B2 starter kit. And then I'm going to drop this into my Eclipse folder. Oops. There's my B2 starter kit. I'm going to drag and drop this in here. Now I'm going to switch back to Eclipse and I'm going to import the project. Existing projects. Just go browse for it this way. B2 starter kit. There it is. You can see the layout of it. You can see I have my BB manifest XML. I've got my standard error page. I've got a bunch of other content pages that are used to demonstrate various features and functionality of a building block. This starter kit I can build with my ant file here. I can choose deploy, clean, available. And that pushes it up to Blackboard. I can go into Blackboard Learn, and I can see my starter kit has been installed, and here it is. Okay, so I've got my starter kit installed. It's up and running. In the next screencast, we're going to build out our own project, and we're going to use a lot of the pieces and parts of the B2 starter kit to get started with that project. Mainly get our entry points set up correctly in our BB manifest XML and get some basic pages up and running, an initial skeleton, if you will, of our building block. Then we'll deploy that building block and make sure it all works. Okay. This concludes part 2 of our NewbieCast. Next up is part 3, and we'll build that initial outline that we talked about earlier. See you soon.